Hello everyone. So here is the week 9 lecture. So because week 9 Monday is public holiday, so I'm recording this lecture for your reference. So in this week the topic is about software testing, right? And then for the React part, React Native part, we're going to learn about the simple form, so that is required for your second assignment. And then we have some option study. It's about model. Okay, so the software testing, in the real software project, software testing is super important. Without the proper testing, people cannot dare to use a software system, right? And also, for the modern software system, it's very complex, and usually the the requirement a lot, and the demand for the security safety and the quality of the software is high. Therefore, testing is super important to guarantee this kind of quality and make people confident about the system, so they are able to use them. And because for large complex systems, the testing is complex. Therefore, we need to use the software testing environment to perform automatic testing rather than just basically like debug. So it's not just like that automatic testing, right? So the testing is ensure reliability, catching bug earlier, facilitate refactoring. Through the testing, we identify problem, we refactoring our code, and also for the documentation. Because for software system, it's continuous evolve. Once we develop, and we may need to add new features and so on. So the testing help people to make sure even if new features be changed, the old systems still be able to perform correctly. So that require the repeat testing, right? So Jest is a popular JavaScript testing framework, right? Originally created by Facebook. So the most JavaScript node project they use Jest, right? Most of them use them. So it's simplicity, not difficult to use, and support for large web application, right? Okay, so here is the comparison of the Jest. Apart from Jest, we still have many other different uh, test frameworks for JavaScript like Sinon, Jasmine, Cypress, Ty, so on. Here are the data statistics from the NPM trend website. We grab the data book this get from the last year, and maybe use this chart. You can see clearly the comparison between different testing framework. So the blue one is Jest. You can see Jest compared with others. The number of downloads per week is higher than the others, right? From up to 2025. Okay, compared with others, the Sinon, Mocha, Jasmine, Cypress, so it corresponding by different color. So you can go to the NPM trend website to see this, figure. So this is a figure is get from last year. So in 2026, the change has been shift a little bit. Now we have Jest is a green one. Usually the Jest is the top one, and in this year the Chai is from the January 2026 is first time that Chai is more than Jest, right? You can see right. Chai is, but Chai is different from Jest. Jest is a totally testing framework, but Chai is assertion library, right? Not a test framework. It's usually aligned with Mocha, right? So Chai is used with some other part, right? But Jest can work alone. And VI test is a more meaningful trend. VI test so that's for white natives. That's another kind of framework. Okay, so from this trend, we can see Jest is still very strong in the JavaScript economy as a test framework. Now we're going to use some small project to explain how to use Jest in your application, right? So actually, in your labs, you're doing the Java exercise. I use Jest to create that project, right? And also use Jest to do the test. When you're doing the lab exercise for JavaScript, you already have used Jest. Now we try to create this one by one. The first part is just to create the project, right? cd install Jest. Right, we try to do that. Yeah, make Jest maybe test create. We just try to create lecture practice, so week 9 Jest test, right? And we use npm initialize +1 to create the project, and this one is going to create the. Okay, now we have this package JSON create, right? And then we're going to install Jest, right? So because it's test framework, so we usually put in the development environment, right? So in the distribution deployed environment, we don't need that, so we can add this one, save that, right? It's okay if you don't include that one. If you don't include that one, that means the Jest will be included in your package. Doesn't matter if in the development environment or in the final deployed environment. If you use this this flag, means it's only included in your development environment, right? So we're going to install Jest. Okay, the Jest module is installed, right? Okay, you can see the node module we have a lot, because if you install one library, usually they're going to add a lot of others that are required, right? But definitely it's going to be Jest here, right? Jest in this package, but the others are dependent for that. Okay, once you have that, you can open this package JSON file, look at the test, you change this to Jest, right? Change this to Jest. Okay, now you can do in your test for this part. Firstly, we create a file. Let's look at this one. Change this. We create a file. Okay, maybe just a single one. The function part. The function sum. Right? Create a file. And return a plus b, right? Okay. And export. Let's see what's equals sum. Okay. So now we have the function module, and the others module will be able to use that and also to do the test, right? This is still use the common Jest, because if you install this by default, they don't have the type as module common Jest, right? Use common Jest, and then we can create the okay. So let's test the file, right? and we require, look at this, require here and pass. So that's still the common JS import style. Okay, right, and then we can have a test. Sorry. There, that's going to. Right, so here sum. So here is a function. Okay, and expect. So let's see. What's the way to test? Right, expect sum to be expect sum 1 2. To let me see how to write dot expect sum to be yes. So that's the way. Dot. Okay, so that's the first test, right? We have that, and then we can try to run this. Have a look. Passed. Okay, so the first test part, right? We can also, if you see others, yeah, expect 3 dot to be, if we put this 4, get a wrong one, right? Because we want to test if the fourth failed, right? Okay, so test suite is 1, so that means we have 1 test file, right? And the test is also 1, it's 1 test, right? So we can remove this test, another test, right? We expect 3 dot to be 3, just like this kind of dummy test. Doing this, okay, we have 2 passes, right? One means 1 test suite. We have 1 test file and 2 test cases. Both of them passed, right? Okay, now we look at the others. We can create more functions. So this is our functions. These are tests. So in a real large project, usually one file, right? In one file, there's one module. Usually is associated with 1 test file. A test file is unit test. Try to test all the functions in this file works properly, right? So that's for a real large project. But for our assignment, we don't require that. But this is just a practice. Suppose if we have another function. Okay, so they export, this time we export 2, we put them into into an object, right? We have this, and in here we import also import this from here, right? So another test to test sub, right? We can test this sub 10 3 equals 7. Try this one. Okay, passed, right? So each here this is a test case, right? So in each test case you can have multiple assertions. So this expect is called assertion, right? You can have multiple assertions, and one test suite can have multiple test cases. Okay, so that's like that. If we try to add another one, we put the arrow run, right? Okay. So create another one. So this file includes arrow functions. Look at what arrow functions we have. Double, total, odd, right? Okay, so this function takes an array as input and return the same array with every element double, right? Total. Reduce. Accumulate. Plus C. 0, right? So let's calculate total. Let's return all the odd number, right? Okay, so this return array with all the odd number, return total, return doubles. Right, we import mod plus double total odd. Right. So now we have three functions. We can test and we create a function called yes. Require dot right double okay. Now we can create test just stupid auto completion here. So for a test, they have two parameters. First is the string description, and the second part is the function. Right? Okay, test. Oh, okay, we probably have a equals array 10 dot view 0 dot map. So we have a array with from 1 to 10, right? Okay, test array double. Okay, so expect we try the total first. Dot to b, so that should be 55, right? So 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 10 plus 12 to 10 should be here. Now we run the test. Okay, you can see the two test suite, right? 3 passes because we have both these two arrow test, function test, right? So that's true. Now we test test out, right? So the second part is the function. Expect out. So here we cannot use 2b. The reason is 2b is used to compare two primary values like the numbers or two strings or booleans, right? Because this array AR is an array, so the return is also an array, right? So that we use 2 equal. This the out numbers 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, right? 1, 3, 7, 9. Four passes, right? If we remove this fail, right? Here's the this fail. The reason is expect the received to equal expected, right? So received plus 1. Received has this one, right? So if we put 8 here, right? You can see the test result. They give you the error. See is that yes, they expect 1, 3, 5, 7. It's all right, and then with extra 8, but missing 9, right? So they tell what's the difference, right? Okay. So this usually helps to identify the problem with the function, right? Now we test double. Type double. Similarly, this is this is an array, right? So we cannot use 2b. We use 2 equal. We should 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, and 20, right? Okay, compare this. Right, all passed. Be aware in JavaScript when you compare two array, if they are equal or not, the order of the array is required. If you change the order, put this as 4, put this as 2, right? Even though the two arrays are still have the same element, but the order are different. When you're doing the test, you will see they fail, right? They fail because the order, the 4 is the first one is not 4, and then you get a 4. The 2 is okay, and then you miss another 4, right? So you realize there's a difference between array and set. In set, the order doesn't matter, but in array, the order is required. Okay, so that is a test, and I'm doing a test. And you can test only one. If I only test array one, right? 3 parts, because for large system, the test cases usually they have a lot. If you want to run all the tests, it may take sometimes 20 minutes, even 1 or 2 hours. So when you change something, you only need to test one test suite. You just type in the file, right? The file. Okay, and then, but of course, for the entire test before you merge, you need to test all the test cases. You just run npm test. Okay, so that's test. And here test passed, right? So you can just explain. So for Jest, if you want to learn more, it's pretty big framework. come here. In this class, we only describe very small part, and also something like we can have the only, right. We only test this one. Right, one path to skip, right, the two others skipped. If we don't want to test this, we can skip. Can you skip? So this one skip others, right? And also you can put them into groups, right? You just describe, put them into group and doing, but that probably we don't cover. No need to cover in our class. Just come to here. Okay, so that is for the test. We have Mocha usually with other library. Here is just for your reference and not covered in our course. Right? In our course, we only focus on Jest. Okay, then we can use Jest for React Native, right? We try to do this before the React Native, because React Native, so that's the software system, they involve the UI part. The UI testing is always something difficult, right? So in this case, we just explain the idea about that, and then you understand the concept. You need you to do a lot of testing by yourself, but understand the theory and also know how to doing that test if required, right? Okay. Okay, we come to close all of them. Okay, the snap test, I've already created this package just to save our time, right? So that's back. So this, I haven't done anything. So this just a plain blank application, right? We just create without doing any change, right? Look at this. Just start export, right? So you can see this, everything is still still here, right? So nothing have been done. So that's just a blank application. All right. So once we create this application, okay, I can enter list. Right, they don't have Jest here, right? So we need to install Jest. We need to install this, right? And also we need to install Jest export, right? Just export and Jest. Jest and Jest. Try to type the name, test export, Jest, and legacy pure tips. Legacy. Legacy pure tips. Pure. DPS, double check. DPS, dependence. Okay. So this flag, because for this library and the framework, they usually have a lot of dependence. Some of them have new version and so on. So usually they have complete dependency relationship. So for certain reasons, some of them not compile very well. If you without this command, when you install, they may give you the warning, say not install, cannot install. So with this, just try to make them happy, right? Install this one. Okay, so this one is installed, right? And we still need to install another one. Install this is called testing library. Let's check if the spelling is correct. Testing library. Legacy PHP. So and also okay, install this one. All right, this is also installed. We can have a list. All right, you can see the Jest export test library. Okay, all of them have been installed, right? Now we are able to create a test file. The test page, we create the test directory, and under that we can test APU test.js, right? This is called test. Okay. Okay, now we have the test directory. With this one is for us and also for system to recognize. Here is where we put our test cases, right? So this is not going to be deployed. And we create a file. Okay, so this usually we use the same name as the component name, just like before we use same name for the module's name, so that people can usually they put together all easier for people to recognize which test file is for which test purpose, right? So this test tab here, then we need to copy the file, input React, render text, right? Render from here, app from here, right? Okay. React. Render, right? And app, right? What else? What else? App, text, yes, because we need to have text. This text is not really necessary because this is just for a dummy test, right? And we test. Okay, put here. Right. Okay, so that's the test case. Look at the first test case is rendering a greeting, right? So we just rendering something, right? So it doesn't matter. And this render here, right? Okay. This is something, and expect this to match snap. Okay. Yes. Testing. Okay. Render here. We run the text. Right, so here is render something and render something to JSON, right? And then we expect. So this render is actually try to create component, and this is the result. To JSON is we put this result into JSON format. Okay, expect. To JSON, right? So this convert to a string. Let me see what's next. Expect to JSON to match snapshot. To match snapshot. To match. Okay, let me check the compile to match snapshot. Okay. Okay, so what that means? So that means here we just dummy testing. We have a component, right? It's a very simple text component. We expect this to match X snapshot. What is snapshot? Snapshot is we run it first, we return something that's a snapshot, and the next time we just compare, right? And now we're doing this test. Okay, here is wrong. The reason is we have installed the Jest installation, Jest, but we haven't changed here, right? We need to change this. Okay, here we need to change test. Just right. Let's see. Yes, we need to change this. Yes, Jest, and just export preset. Okay, we need to use this, and also just preset. Let me check. Just preset, just export. Okay, and we need to have this. Now we're doing the test again. Yeah, it's the first time wrong. It's a little bit slow, right? So this error is because the version of one package is newer than it required. So we just need to install the early version, right? Now we try to run again. Oh, still fail.